I am going to discuss on the topic Introduction to Business Ethics from Chapter 1 from the subject Business Ethics and Corporate Governance for TYBBI class. The definition of ethics. Definition of ethics is the application of moral values or approach to complex problems using a rational decision-making process. That means ethics is the branch of study to deal with the people, the course of action for men. Ethics are the principle of conducting or governing an individual or a group. It is concerned with norms of conduct of people as a member of society as it relates to what it is good or having to do with moral duties and obligation. So we can say that the term ethics has variety of meaning. One of the meaning in ethics means the principle of conduct governing an individual or group. We can also define ethics as relating to what is good or bad or having to do with the moral duties and obligations. In general, business ethics are the principles and standards that determines acceptable conduct in business organization. And in India, we call it as Nitya Sastra. It is a branch of philosophy that deals with moral values. Let's understand the general foundation of ethics. First one is rationality, where we can say that all legitimate moral acts must be supported by general accepted reasons. The next is least harm, where we must choose between evils. Choose that the least evil is being done or harm, we should not harm anybody by our deeds. Consistency, yes. Moral values, including moral actions, if they are valid and are binding on all the people at all times in all places, which will give the same relevant circumstances. So we should maintain consistency in our deeds. Impartiality, very important. This principle will forbid us from treating one person different than another. When there is not a good reason to do so, we set aside our personal interest. And the last is openness. When we examine moral differences between ourselves and individuals or culture, we may discover that it is not as we, not they, who are morally wrong, but we must be open to change our views. So these are some of the general forms. Let us understand the nature of ethics. First of all, it is a normative science. We call it as a normative science because it deals with ideals and it determines norms, ideas, standards, or values. Then it has also been known as self-imposed because the laws of the state are externally imposed on the individual by the state. In compliance of laws may attract punishment. We follow a moral principle not because of hope of reward or fear of punishment, but we consider it as a duty. Next is morality. Morality is the essence of ethical behavior and it should be reflective. Any conduct is based on social rules and understanding of duties. In case where there is a conflict of duties, conventional morality fails totally. Conventional morality ensures well-being and survival of society. Next is discipline. Ethics follows the rules of discipline. Discipline is necessary. It is necessary for ethics because it plays a vital role in ethics and it contains rules and regulations which is very important. Let us understand that ethics is not a religion. It does not come by religion, but it is an individual motive. It is not culturally accepted norms, but it has some impact on ethics, which is not the ultimate force. It is not a science that we can prove, but it is a science which is universally accepted and ethics changes from person to person. So these are some of the nature of ethics which is highlighted. So the type of ethics are participatory ethics, transactional ethics, and recognition ethics. In participatory ethics, it is the ethics of individual and collective citizenship. That means it sees public possibilities as a shared duty of cooperativeness. It gives suggestion as how to act as a government between business goals and moral demands and how to serve the society in more ethical way and gain corporate excellence. For example, Tata Group, it is one of the leading institute which is having moral principles such as alertness, decency, and emancipations. That is freedom towards full citizenship. Next is transactional ethics. We can say that in transactional ethics, all the parties involved in the actions have interests that happen to overlap in time but does not affect each other. In order to let each party transaction rule smoothly, all parties have to accept the principle of equality. Next is recognition ethics. Recognition ethics is the ethics of human rights and its acknowledged basic needs. It regards moral interactions as a matter of shielding individual liberty and aiding public welfare. So, according to this view, the individual rights and duties of them supersede personal egocentric interest. These are the types of ethics. Understand the importance of ethics. First of all, it is considered to be a basic need. Why? Because it helps in understanding individuals' moral judgments about right and wrong. Next is it also helps in decision making because it is our means to decide a course of action. So without a proper direction, it is very difficult. So even with an ethical standard, we can have or pursue our goals with the ethical means and possible directions which will lead us to a successful path. Next is harmony and teamwork, which is one of the vital essential. It conducts ensure good and proper relations and it ensures peaceful life. That's why ethical conducts boost morals and promote teamwork and harmony among the people. Next is it also helps in image and credibility, where it helps to promote a stronger public image and respect in the society. Next is legality, where ethical conducts assist to promote with laws and regulation. What is ethical is also legal. Often, ethics succeed law is safeguarding the society. That is why ethics try to create a sense of right and wrong in the organization, and often when the law fails, it is the ethics that may stop the organization from harming the society or environment. Next is organizing. Yes, to the degree which the rational ethical standard is taken, we are able to correctly organize our goals and actions to accomplish our important values. Next is success. Yes, success is something which everybody craves for. But success should be attained with a lot of ethical conduct, which will help us to understand what is trust and optimism. That is why organization which is guided by ethics and values are profitable in the long run. Though in the short run they may lose money, but in the long run they may gain success with trust and optimism from the people, which is very understand the scope of ethics. What we understand by scope of ethics is that it is a normative science which deal with moral ideal or good in order to inquire the nature of our conduct. It inquires into the origin of actions, motives, intentions, voluntary actions, and so on. It determines rightness or wrongness of human actions, and that is why we say it is a science which discusses the content of moral consciousness and the various problems of moral consciousness. Next is morality, where moral judgment passed on voluntary actions are also included within the scope of ethics. Moral sentiments and feelings are arising in our minds where we contemplate about the moral judgments, and therefore ethics has to discuss about the nature of moral sentiments to moral judgments. Next is freedom. It's very important that the scope of ethics includes what has reference to free human acts, whether as principle or cause of actions. Ethics discusses the nature of human freedom. The last is ethics investigates what constitutes good or bad, just or unjust. It also inquires into what are virtue laws, conscious or duty. What obligations are common to within the scope of ethics? The sense of duty or moral obligation and the responsibility for actions are also concluded within the range of ethics. That's all for my end. Thank you for patient listening.